second. So Shauna will go first, and then I'll talk after her, and I'll stay here with you.
Growing up, playing sports was my favorite. I played soccer, softball, golf, and was on the swim team. I don't give up easily, whether it's competing against my 6.5-foot dad in basketball or beating my friends at Just Dance from my wheelchair. After having over 30 broken bones, not just because I'm clumsy, I ultimately had to take a break from my sports career. I turned my love for sports to attending and watching as many games as I could, going to Fenway Park, Boston Garden, and Gillette Stadium with my family. The success of the teams I root for has been historic, though understandably irritating for fans from other cities. Sorry. I've learned the rules for the sports, know the rosters and stats, and ultimately have become a sports fanatic. Being from New England makes being a sports fan easy, exciting, and full of action. Not too long after the Patriots beat the Steelers in the AFC Championship game and were on their way to their 9th Super Bowl, I got a surprise in the mail. It was a Super Bowl 51 Patriots vs. Falcons t-shirt from a very special friend. Super Bowl 51 started terribly for the Patriots. At halftime, they were down 20-3. The game was going so bad, I needed to take a shower to wash off the disgust I had from the first half. As I got dressed, I happened to see that t-shirt laying on my bureau, and I put it on under my jersey. Little did I know how symbolic this shirt would become in my life. I'm Shauna Sperou, and I'm 14 years old. I was diagnosed with Rothman-Thompson syndrome when I was a year old. This genetic disorder has less than 500 reported cases in the world, so needless to say, there are very few doctors I see that know anything about it. My mom has been educating doctors, teachers, friends, and strangers for as long as I can remember. I was born hearing impaired, and that's how my journey began. I had my first hearing aids at 3 months old. My parents had a really hard time with this, but later down the road said it was just a test to get them ready for what was to come. A suspicious rash that appeared at 3 months old prompted many dermatology visits, and eventually this is what led to my diagnosis, Rothman-Thompson syndrome. Blood tests were done at Baylor College of Medicine to confirm my rare genetic disease when I was a year old. When I was diagnosed, we were given Dr. Wang's contact information. Upon contacting her, we were invited to be part of a research study at Baylor and also join the support group she had started. Feeling so alone and not knowing where to turn, this support group gave my family the hope and encouragement that was so greatly needed. In 2007, Dr. Wang held the first RTS conference in Houston. This was my first time actually meeting Dr. Wang. This educational experience and meeting other families with RTS made us realize we were not alone. Although I was only 3 at the time, I met lifelong friends that day that I still FaceTime and text because of our connection at this conference. Since then, there have been many other conferences, many more friends made, and Lisa continues to be there for all of us. In 2013, we went to Texas, and I helped out with Dr. Wang's calcium study. From my hospital bed, Lisa and I attempted to make a video for an RTS fundraiser. I'm sure there were many more bloopers than successful takes, but we had a blast doing it. This was also when I met her son Henry for the first time. We both have a love for SpongeBob and continue to send each other SpongeBob-related gifts through the mail. Dr. Wang and I are not just patient and doctor. I have many doctors because of my disease. Some I see a couple times a year, and some I might see a few times each month. Some I have connections with that exceed what you would expect, and it's probably because we see each other on a more continuous basis. None of these can compare to the relationship that I have with Dr. Wang. None of these doctors would be personally calling my mom. They don't send me messages wishing me a happy holiday or birthday as Lisa and I do. Because rare diseases are spread apart across the world, there won't necessarily be a doctor who knows much about it, let alone an expert in the disease. But it is heartwarming to know how possible it is to be 2,000 miles apart and be able to develop such a wonderful relationship. While my parents struggled with what was next, the hope that was given to them knowing this disease was being researched is something we'll always be grateful for. This gave my family incentive to become involved in ways we could never imagine, learning to fundraise and spread awareness, helping to build sharing and caring conferences, and connecting people around the world. The involvement of so many people in our lives, reaching out for the greater good to help and support our cause, and coming full circle to be the ones for other RTS families to reach out to. We think of Dr. Wang as family, and I know she feels the same because that's how she treats us. She was the one my mom would reach out to when she came home from my appointments discouraged and concerned. She will answer an email early hours in the mornings because there's no after hours. She's just as concerned as we are. You may notice I've been using the names Lisa and Dr. Wang interchangeably. I didn't notice this until my mom pointed it out to me. I can't remember when Dr. Wang became Lisa to me, but somewhere along the line she did, and she became part of our family. In the third quarter of the Super Bowl, the Patriots were down 28-3. Julian Edelman's spectacular 1-inch off the ground catch became a huge turning point for the Patriots that game, and 31 unanswered points later, they had won in overtime to make the greatest comeback of all time. My life path started off a little rocky as well. Much like the Patriots' poor start to that Super Bowl, with my family not knowing where to turn or what to do. But the day we were connected with Dr. Lisa Wang was our own turning point on this journey. As blessed as the Patriots family and fans felt after that spectacular win, our own RTS family won the Super Bowl with this new sense of security and renewed hope. It wasn't until we were watching the Super Bowl trophy ceremony when I remembered I had put that shirt on. From then on, I dedicated it as my lucky shirt. Not only do I wear it for every important sports event, but I also find myself reaching for this shirt on many significant days in my life. I wear it to many important doctor appointments and all of my MRI scans. This t-shirt has given me more than just luck. It's given me a sense of security, hope, and positivity. And I'm sure it's not a surprise to anyone here that Dr. Lisa Wang is that special friend who sent me this t-shirt. Thank you.
If I can have the slides, please, the slide deck. Okay. Thank you, Shauna. So my name is Lisa Wang, and I work here in Houston at Baylor College of Medicine. And as Donna mentioned, I'm a pediatric oncologist. So first of all, I want to thank NORD, not only for putting on this important and meaningful conference, but also because of what NORD has done to solidify and support the rare disease community overall. Without this type of organization to provide infrastructure to the many different rare disease groups, Shauna, for example, would not have had the opportunity to participate in Running for Rare event over the past several years, or to connect others in the Rothman-Thompson community to become more involved. It is these connections between patients and families with rare diseases that are important, and it's what keeps researchers and doctors motivated to do what they do every day. So thank you very much, NORD, for giving us the opportunity to speak here and to become more involved in the larger rare disease community. So first of all, I want to just give you a little bit of background of how I became involved with Rothman-Thompson syndrome, or RTS. So when I was a first-year pediatric oncology fellow, training here at Texas Children's Hospital about 20 years ago, I took care of a little boy who was diagnosed with osteosarcoma. And this is a rare form of bone cancer that affects primarily children. He also had a diagnosis of RTS. Well, we had never heard of RTS before. And when we looked in the literature, there was really not a lot of information about it. There were just a few isolated case reports. So my mentor at the time, Dr. Sharon Plon, who's a board-certified geneticist here at Baylor, encouraged me to take on this somewhat risky project to study this disorder and try to identify the gene defect in RTS. But to do this, I needed patients, and finding patients for this rare disease was not easy. So I made phone calls, I wrote letters to dermatologists, ophthalmologists, oncologists, and to see if they had any patients. I sent mailers to members of all the American Society of Human Genetics to see if they'd ever seen a patient with RTS. Got no replies. But finally, and this was back in the day before Google search engines, we made a very rudimentary web page and said, does anybody have a patient with Rothman-Thompson syndrome? Please contact us. And lo and behold, we finally got a few hits. And after I made several trips to their hometowns to enroll them and to hand collect samples for research, we were finally on our way to starting the RTS patient registry and to learn more about the natural history of this disorder and to do research to understand its causes and consequences. So one of my early goals was to start a patient support group since it became obviously clear that this was such a rare disease. Most of the families that contacted me would say something like, my child is the only one in the whole country with this syndrome and none of the doctors knows anything about it. So we did this. We started a support group and we held our first patient and family conference in 2007. So this is where I first met and connected with Shauna and her family when she was about 3 years old. And we've kept our connection going strong over the past 12 years. Through the RTS Foundation, which grew out of our support group and was formed by John and Helen Kimmel, and John's here with us today in the audience, we have been able to keep up with each other through meetings in Washington, D.C., Michigan, New York, Salt Lake City, and through many phone calls and emails throughout the years. Watching Shauna grow up, despite all of the things that she has had to endure and all of the many doctor's visits and procedures, has been a beautiful process. Through it all, she has maintained a positive attitude. She focuses on the things that she can and likes to do, like Patriots football, for example, and she does not whine about what she cannot do. Every year, she puts on an awesome Super Bowl square fundraiser for RTS, and as I mentioned earlier, she has participated in NORD's Running for Rare event over the past several years. Shauna just graduated from middle school, and I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this, but she received 2 major awards. One of these was the Pride and Perseverance Award for the student who takes pride in herself and who has persevered through difficult times. There is no question that Shauna has persevered through some very hard times. The other was the Inclusive Communities Award, which I think completely represents Shauna. It is given to that individual who stands out above the rest as particularly welcoming to all students to make sure that everybody has a place at school no matter what their skills, abilities, or differences. I have no doubt that the positive qualities embodied by these awards were for Shauna in some way shaped by her life with RTS. But instead of it bringing her down, it strengthened her to make her the exceptional individual that she is today. Maintaining these connections through good times and bad has been a key element in developing our successful doctor-patient relationship. So at our first RTS conference in 2007, we didn't have a whole lot to report. Not much was known back then, but much was to be learned. And we were going to do it together as a team. I believe this is one of the things that makes the relationship between patients with a rare disease and the doctors caring for them special, because we are, in a sense, a team of equal players. There are a lot of unknowns when it comes to rare diseases. In our case with RTS, early on, even defining the disease and what features were part of the disease was a challenge. How to manage the symptoms, whether or not to treat certain aspects or screen for complications. Figuring out whether a new complication was even related to RTS. Having patients who can accept the unknowns alongside us and work together contributes a great deal to a meaningful team effort. Without that close partnership with our patients and families, it would be impossible to find the answers to these questions. As doctors and researchers, we rely just as much on our patients to tell us what bothers them and what their concerns are as they do on us to help find answers to manage and treat their symptoms. This team approach and accepting the unknown has been instrumental in our doctor-patient collaboration. Shauna and her parents understand that more often than not, my answer to the question is, I don't know, but let's think about this together and try to figure it out. So what makes a good patient and why is Shauna a role model patient to me for a rare disease? I think it is the spirit of cooperation, understanding the concept of the unknown, willingness to be part of the discovery and the solution to the problems, working together as a team, and actively participating in research that not only might benefit herself, but others with the same disorder down the road. I wish we doctors had the answers to every question, but we don't. But working together with patients and families, we are in a much better position to find these answers and to improve the lives of our patients. In a sense, it is a lifelong journey that I'm privileged to be a part of. And Shauna, I'm extremely honored to be the one who gave you that t-shirt, which has provided you with comfort, security, and most of all, hope in your journey with a rare disease. I am extremely fortunate and blessed to be part of your life. Thank you.